Okay, we have guests. Should we ask what the guests would like to contribute to the meeting or put on the agenda before we start? Skip,
Are you asking?
Bobby, Lisa?
Maybe when the topic comes up, can I maybe have?
Okay,
Are you asking the guest?
if you want anything put on the agenda that's not on it.
Sure. I have one thing. Do you want me to tell you what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll ask that at some point.
Hi, good afternoon. Lisa DeVito, 108 South Main Street in Crescent City. I don't know if this got to you because it's a very busy week for the clerk, but the item to discuss on the agenda is the availability of a federal and state grant program for various things, including planting trees that's due by November 17th. So I brought information on that. It's very quick. If you want to add that to the agenda, I'll be happy to share with you what I have, and I have the written information that can be provided later.
All right.
And then I also came to give public comment about things that are on the agenda, but that was something that's not listed. And I got the information about the grants, about the day that y'all put out your agenda. The state just gave the information about the grants, so it's new.
Okay. New business, the tree plan. We don't have a list of the major trees, do we?
Are you starting with old business or,
New, they're on this.
those are the minutes, I think.
Oh, well, that's a new business, okay, yeah, I'm sorry, y'all, I'm blind and deaf and,
Welcoming our new member.
okay, yeah, where's my top page? Put a little minutes, no, it's in June. Huh?
Sure you go.
Got it. No.
No, you gotta
Okay, we do have a new member, Gene Bowerman, right? Welcome. Thank you. We're glad you volunteered, and, you want to say anything about why, or?
Because I like plants and trees, and I've been involved in the horticulture industry all my life.
Oh my goodness, what did you do? Have a,
In the different nurseries,
Nursery?
wholesale, resale,
wow,
retail, yeah,
what an asset, welcome.
so I'm interested.
All right. Okay, the arborist report is big, and has everybody looked at it? And we had a lot of recommendations, and they had a lot of recommendations, and looked at those trees. So, if we're looking at it, it says tree behind the bleachers at Harry Banks, sure needs to come down.
It's down.
It's down, hooray. Okay. That was a danger. And, okay, extra beaches, okay, so Cherry Street. On Cherry Street, is that one down too, Keith?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. And I'm on Bay Lane. Bay Lane is the walk up from
It's right here by Harry Banks.
Harry
That
Banks.
also was
the
down.
one closer to the 17th. Going
Yes, ma'am.
east,
The
yeah,
one by Smith Thomas.
yeah, and that one's down too?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Okay, and you said Bubba Jacobs did those.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And are those all that he did?
Daphne trimmed up the tree at Colbert Park that Mr. Banks has been talking about
Oh,
for
yeah.
quite some time. He just basically raised up, cut off some
Yeah,
dead stuff and removed some branches that were, that he thought needed to come off. Nothing major.
okay. Is that all Bubba did?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's a valuable thing to know, that Bubba Jacobs doing trees locally again, because for a while it was taken off with things over the river. What have you given us, my dear?
What Ms. DeVito wanted me to,
The grant.
point out.
What?
She, sent me an email yesterday.
Oh, this is from Lisa.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm still gonna try and find a grant one.
It's okay, I can just review it, I mean, go over it briefly, it's short.
Okay, was there anything the arborist reported that, other than doing what we already recommend ask for? He did about those trees across from the funeral home and Eagle
Yes,
Lines.
ma'am, he's recommending that one of them be removed.
Just one. Number three, and this,
I believe it is.
yeah, and this.
It's the one that's kind of over the bathroom.
Over the bathroom. Okay. And, well, we had a lot of concerns about some others, but according to this report, just because there's canker doesn't mean it needs to come down, right? If it's healed over and growing around. Like here's tree number one,
What page?
has,
Page
13.
Page 13.
Yeah. Large canker, column of decay, extends from the ground up to the tree approximately 30 feet. But has wound wood surrounding the exposed deadwood. I don't know, I just looked at this. And number three was the one we were worried about, because it looks like lightning damage where the bark was ripped off. But he's saying.
He said 3 should be removed.
That what?
3 should be removed.
Three should be removed, but he didn't seem to think, tree number one needed to be. And when you look at the picture, it's got a huge broken off trunk there.
That's the ugliest one.
Pardon?
It's kind of muted, it's broken off and it's the worst looking one.
Yeah.
They said it's fine.
Right, I don't understand that. And tree number two has a vertical crack with canker, which the trunk experienced twisting during a storm on the end. Its canker is separated from the inner wood of the tree. I mean, I guess the thing we need to discuss is what we do with his recommendations. Do we agree with it and have the number three taken down and leave the other two, or what? Anybody, Keith, what do you think? You're the person who sees the most.
Well, that's gonna really be up to y'all, and I guess what is decided today, because, I will say, I know this little piece of paper that Karen just gave me, that's Chuck Lippy's son's report. Just for the record, to let you know that I did call him, Mr. Lippy, his son, no longer wants to do work for the city. Because every recommendation they've ever made, we've never done anything with it, and they don't wanna waste the paperwork.
Okay,
That come from his son.
yeah,
I guess really, when we think it needs to come down, it needs to come down.
yeah.
I
Well,
mean, it is leaning over the picnic table, and it is leaning up, I think, the bathroom, so who knows what way it's gonna
Yeah.
fall?
yeah,
And then what kind of liability do we have if it falls and kills somebody? And we know this tree is bad, what do we do?
well, I'm a little bit concerned personally, but it's like a little clump of trees. You take one out, it's gonna change everything for the other two. And I hope they'll be able to withstand the trauma of that one coming down. But do we need to make a recommendation about what to do about that number three tree? Does it? Is it our place to say?
I think it is.
We're the tree committee, y'all are the tree committee.
No, okay. Well, Brooke, what do you think? Anybody wanna?
To me, if the trees, I don't know. I just trust the arborist when he said it doesn't need to come down. That's why he's the doctor, so
Well, he said it did, didn't
he said it did, so then we have to follow what he wants. Or he's recommending.
he? Okay, you wanna move that we do that?
I'll say it's a shame. If you look at this tree, it's, giant, tall, gorgeous tree. And Bobby can speak for himself, and he expressed concern, if we have a report in our hands that and something happens, and our insurance might not cover it because we had a report saying it needs to come down.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that's all just Robert Pickens, city attorney. So my main concern when I was talking to Charles is we have a report from certified arborist that the tree needs to come down. If something were to happen, normally we would have insurance. I do not think insurance would cover us. And another thing that concerns me is if we have a report from a certified arborist, it could be possible that the person could make an argument that we would waive our sovereign immunity too because we are acting negligently with knowledge. So my recommendation, nothing to do with the tree, I don't know anything about trees, but just legally, if we're being recommended by an expert to take something down, I would urge the city to, just on a liability basis, to act on that recommendation.
Just so you know, sovereign immunity means we can't be sued for more than $250,000.
Yeah,
And that can be waived.
okay. Any more discussion?
I have a comment.
Lisa,
I would like to make a comment about,
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
she wants to make a comment.
Okay, well, come up here so we can hear better.
Okay, hi, about the recommendation to take down tree number 3. I'm familiar with this tree, I live across from it. And, I sent a memo that I wanted distributed to the Tree and Garden Board yesterday about the arborist report. And I have some comments about the other trees, but specifically tree number 3. It is interesting to me that all of a sudden, the city is concerned about a particular tree that an arborist has recommended and needs to come down because we have an arborist report that says something needs to be done. What I mentioned in my memo is the city has an arborist report dating from 2 years ago regarding the tree that is next to City Hall that said it should either be remediated or taken down. And nothing has been done about that at all in 2 years. So as well, I mentioned there are 2 trees that the city is well aware of and the city on city right of way that have partially failed. One is in the city right of way by my driveway. And
Sorry, where?
it's in the city right of way by my driveway. It's between 108 and 112 South Main Street. I thought it was a year ago. I was mistaken about the date. I looked back at my phone. It is a major heritage tree. The top portion of that tree, from about 20 feet up, fell into South Main Street in May of 2022. So that was a year and a half ago. It covered my driveway. It covered the entirety of South Main Street. It would have killed anybody that had been underneath it in a car or a golf cart. And that's a very heavily traveled street. And right after it fell, cars and golf carts and a couple down the street with a toddler and baby carriage walked by right through that area. And the city is aware of it because I sent it to the city manager. And as well, the city cleaned it up. And then I know, on Magnolia Drive, at the corner of Magnolia and Oakwood, half of a two-trunk tree came down and hit BJ Lori's house. The other half is still there. To my knowledge, I don't know, y'all have not addressed those two trees, which obviously have a lot of instability. So I don't necessarily think that because we have one arborist report, it may be the right thing to do. But certainly, there are other trees that have been in line for inspection and a report and some kind of evaluation a lot longer than the one at Eagle Lions Park. I'm not sure why all the attention is there. And secondly, the one at Eagle Lions Park is a very iconic tree. I know that there's a very iconic tree in Palatka that's in front of the courthouse that has been saved through remediation. The oak tree at the stoplight here in town at Central and 17 was remediated sometime back in 2015, 2016. So to me, before you pronounce a death sentence on any tree, I think in a situation like this, it should take a second opinion, because I think Ms. Maven raised a very good question. What will be the impact on the other trees? And is there anything that can be done to mitigate that danger? So that is my comment on that. Outstanding trees that have been known to be a danger far longer, one with an arborist report, one that sits by City Hall, and 2, second opinion for tree number 3, and to see if there's any mitigation that could save. Can I do that in 3 minutes?
Okay.
Actually, longer than 3 minutes.
I thought
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Good point. I think, our goal right now, as I see it, is to address what has been done and not at this moment, in this motion, talk about what hasn't been done and what needs to be done. The question about this tree, I don't know if you read the thing, Lisa, but
Of course,
it's, got a horizontal crack.
I read the whole
Its
thing.
internal column is broken to some degree, that the trunk failure. I mean, it's got serious problems. And I'm sure, and the reason we focused at this particular time on Eagle Lions Park is because the tree commission did a survey of heritage trees in the city parks. And so Eagle Lions was our first order of business, and we did look at all the trees in there and expressed concern about those, that little clump of the general home there, one of which is tree number 3 in this report. So, if we're going to do something about that tree before it precipitates a lawsuit or a death or something serious, I would suggest that we deal with that issue and then put the others on the agenda to discuss. But every time we get an arborist, I'm sure it costs a lot. I don't know how much.
It's $300.
Consultation on the city parks alone.
300,
How much?
300.
300 to do all the city parks?
No, that was just to do Eagle Lions.
Okay, yeah, so we need to discuss that separately is my recommendation. What do y'all think? Agree?
Well,
Act on tree number 3.
I think that, I don't know anything about trees, but, you, seem to know a lot about trees, you guys gathering here. And Lisa brought a good point about having a second opinion, like when somebody tells you you have cancer and you're gonna die and you get a second opinion, is that possible? And maybe on that second opinion, we can look at these other trees that she's mentioning, they need attention prior to these trees.
Jen, got any ideas?
Well, since I'm new to
And
the
you
whole
know
thing,
that.
I figured I would just listen for a while. But I do agree that it's a massive tree. And maybe a second opinion wouldn't be a bad idea. It's huge, it's,
Well, take your chance. but there's no motion.
Could we, ask him to come back and ask if there's a way to mitigate tree number 3, to see if there's something that can be done, and then have him look at, the tree across the street as well, that broke off.
At least us.
Yeah, the other ones we mentioned, the one by Mr. Laurie's house, we did have that other tree mitigated. They did cut back the canopy and, but the one outside City Hall, other than the power company, chopping it, it hasn't been cut.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we're getting a second opinion, we need a different arborist, right? Still,
Can I say something?
sure.
As many of you know, I was on this board for about 10 years. And somebody thought I knew something about trees because I had an organic citrus tree. And I was still learning. But in that learning process, trying to find out how to raise organic citrus, which is the way they raised it 100 years ago, I reached out to several people, C.L. Easterlin, your father, that were still alive and longtime citrus growers, and I learned a lot. I did look at the trees after reading the report, and I think you got a bargain for $300. You really did.
You think, well,
Really got a bargain for the $300. That was a very in-depth.
yeah, you
And,
get a lot.
but, there is a potential liability with number 3. And hopefully the city has a budget to remove it. But from my experience, whenever you move a single tree from a clump, say 3, the other trees really thrive.
Yeah.
Because they don't have to compete with the new trees. And they'll grind the stump right down to the ground, maybe a couple inches. But, this is a little different subject since I'm up here. But, the Rotary Club for many years, they had a catfish festival, which I was involved with for 28 years, before I started with Second Family. And, but we budgeted Rotary Club to put fertilizer down in the park every year because we knew that the foot traffic really negatively impacted it. But as an alternative to that, you could put out dolomitic lime, which is very cheap. The city could order a truckload of it for under $1,000 and be enough dolomitic lime for all your, but that's the only fertilizer you really need to put on your medians. It's calcium magnesium, and there's calcium in the soil because it's bedrock about 50 feet below our feet. Well drillers will tell you exactly where the limestone is, but it's not in the topsoil. But I would say, if you have some money, if you have about $1,000, get a truckload. Comes from Crystal River, it's naturally mined. I've got the contact information. And the last truckload I got about 6 years ago was about $700.
What's it called?
Because it's dolomitic lime.
Dolomitic.
Kill them like lime.
Yeah, and spread that, and you only need to spread it. And here again, I got this information from these old time citrus growers, and they all concur that if you didn't have much for a fertilizer budget, put dolomite out 1 to 2 tons per acre every 2 to 3 years. And of course, all you need is a cone-shaped fertilizer spreader. And I don't know the city, I'm sure Keith had access to one. And they'll just dump it right there and it'll sit there for a year. And you want to spread it out in the fall, during the fall drought period. When the moisture level is real low. But that's what I would recommend, and maybe revisit those 3 trees. But the recommendation previously about putting mulch, that is not a good recommendation from an agronomy standpoint, in my book. Because compost has to be composted and broken down to almost to have any benefit. And actually it would take away from the trees if you put compost around there. The dolomite would be the cheapest remedy, even for your littles. That's all you need to put. Because a lot of the,
Okay. Well, that's, I guess, moved it out of our,
Good to know though. Thank you.
We need to
yeah,
take care of our trees.
yeah, yeah.
Madam
So-
Chairperson,
Vision.
Madam Chairperson,
Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't, I'm here or.
BJ Laurie, 505 Magnolia Avenue. Sorry I'm late, but I wanted come and talk about my tree, or the tree in front of the house that fell on me, or fell on the house, not on me. The other tree that was there, when they cleaned up the tree that fell, they did chop a big portion of it off to take some of the weight off of it. And that, I think will help it for a while. My biggest concern though is the damage that happened to that tree because of the multi-use trail that was built there. That's what I think precipitated most of this, is all that heavy equipment that was in there running back and forth and compacting the stuff. And right now, if you look at, on my block, on the other side of the street, there's a line, a cable line that's laying on the ground that Xfinity is apparently gonna bury at some point. Well, it goes all the way around the block on both sides. And when they do that, they cut right through all the roots. And they've been doing that a lot lately, putting in a lot of lines. And I just don't know why. Is there a way that we can prevent them from doing that? Or do they have to get a permit to do that? Or any way that they can just go and dig up our right of way whenever they want?
We can stop you from putting in their cable.
Okay, because I mean, that seems to be something that's can cause more damage than anything else, is that whole block going around that side there to Oakwood. The one thing I am concerned still about the tree that's remaining is there needs to be some mitigation, maybe the mulch or the chips put around it. Because I'm just afraid when that tree falls, it's gonna fall on the power lines and take down all the fiber optic lines that connect to our phone system. Because it happened once during the hurricane in 2004, right? You remember? And we were cut off from Placa, no call 911, because there was no connection outside Crescent City. You could only call inside Crescent City. And that was a few days before we ever got that fixed. And so I know that that's all on those lines, and that tree's gonna fall right on and take everything out. So we'll all be out of business for a while. But I just think we need to keep a better eye on some of these trees, especially that one, if possible. And I mean, so if you're gonna have an arborist come back, it'd be great to have a check on that one, and have him see, take a look at it. And I to echo what Ms. DeVito said, they spent a lot of money mitigating that tree up by the courthouse. It worked. It was 180 something year old tree, and I don't know who they had come in. It was either UF or somebody that, they put all kinds of things propping it up and all kinds of fertilizer and stuff on it. It's a specialized thing, but it can be done. We can save these trees. And I don't think it's gonna be that expensive. We just need to find the right person that can help us with it. So, but I mean, if we care about these trees, which I think we all do, we all live here because of the beautiful canopy, I think we need to get some serious help and be serious about it. So. Thank you. Sorry, not that helped her decide what to do.
Anything else, Megan noticed this last week that they were doing a survey of trees in Crescent City that threatened power lines. And talking with Keith, he said that it was a drone survey, which is kind of questionable to me. I guess they go over where they know their power lines are, but the trees cover them everywhere. So anyway, and I have called them about limbs on the power lines, literally lying on them, and they didn't come and ever do anything about it. We started, like I said, with the parks, and we have discussed going around and looking at all the city trees, all the heritage trees in particular in the city, as a survey of trying to preserve them. But it seems to me right now that what we need to do is make a decision about that tree in Eagle Lions Park, which we clearly have indications that it's in bad health. I don't think you can repair that kind of damage with nourishment. It might be possible. So the question is, I guess, do we get second opinion? Can the city approve of that? Do we recommend it to the city? Is that how we proceed here?
I would recommend a second opinion.
Pardon?
I would recommend a second opinion on that tree.
Okay, so does the city have to approve of it at commission meeting?
No.
No? Okay.
It's under $1,000 unless
Okay.
And when I talked to Mr. Lippy, he was $150 to drive here. And for every tree that he looked at, the report was $50. So, you know, this is really the second time I've used Don Spence. And the last time, or the first time I used him, he come in and done it basically for free because of a friend of mine that was cutting a tree here in town. And we had him come in, look at the tree, because I recommended it to the tree guy, and it wasn't Bubba, it was another boy out of Benel. He come in, done his recommendation, turned his report in, and 2 days later, the homeowner cut the whole tree down. And it was a big live oak, it was big around, but they passed that, well, it's a law now that we can't stop them if it's over a house or something.
No.
Is there an ordinance out there?
Yeah, the
Nope, nope.
landscape architect or an arborist says it's disease or
Yeah.
imminent danger.
We still have to have a permit.
Yeah,
That was
okay,
passed in 2016, wasn't
Okay, so,
It was revised.
what do you wanna do?
I'm gonna motion that, we get a second opinion for that three and the tree in Eva Lions Park, number 3. And maybe when the arborists come, he can look at these old business of the other trees that Mr. Vito mentioned. I mean, 2 or 3 other trees.
it? Yes, ma'am, I can get you to look at BJ Lori's at 505, and then Miss DeVito's tree at her house.
And
And
the
then
one,
if there's any other ones, you need to give me a list. And I'll call this gentleman in, or I'll call somebody else.
Is
I'll
it-
find somebody else.
Okay, fine, yeah.
A second.
Okay,
second,
second? You want a
I'll
second?
second.
Thank you, okay.
But you're gonna use a different arborist.
Yes, yeah. Okay, Liz Gomez, motion moved, and Jean seconded, that we get a second opinion, and I assume, Mr. Harris will be the person looking for that, another arborist, and will report back to us at the next chance he gets, what they have to say. We will put cut number 33 on hold for now. So, if you,
All in favor?
I,
okay. That tree. We looked at it, we thought, we were concerned about it, the tree committee was. All right, that was the only one that he recommended cutting, wasn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay, so that's a great report. I appreciate that, with the pictures and everything. Okay. What are these pictures about? Yeah,
Commissioner DeVito sent them in
okay,
for me to print off to you. To make sure that you have them,
okay,
but you decided to go with a second opinion on the tree anyway, so.
But, and
I assume that they refer to, Porcupine tree groups.
yeah, and I have a comment about tree number 4.
Wait, back from the other. Tree number 4. Yeah. Between Main Street and the Kansas Boys. What about?
Okay, my comment about tree number 4, and actually the rest of the report is, the report makes some recommendations for mitigation of risk in trees, I guess, 1 and 2. I have some concerns about how those would be carried out, because it recommends, potentially pruning them, and those are heritage trees, and the tree plan does say that any pruning of a mature or heritage tree should be done by someone who is a certified arborist, because you don't want to cause more damage I mean, you don't wanna make the situation worse. Improper trimming can unbalance the weight of a tree. We hire an arborist who's done work for the city before for our big trees. And I've taken seminars, and that's my understanding, when you're actually pruning a heritage tree, you want to make sure that it is done correctly so that you don't make the tree less stable. But specifically for tree number 4, he said it's okay, he said the tree has some areas of canopy decline. There are dead branches that should be pruned out for tree number 4. So what concerns me about his report here is this tree is in an area where Danny Libby came in 2019 and reviewed all the heritage trees on the west side of the park. And Pat, you've had that report because that report was in the first tree plan that the tree board did. The 2019 report from Advanced Tree Care by Danny Libby, and I did not know that Danny Libby was refusing to come here. I have not had time to call him in. That is very disappointing because Advanced Tree Care, their arborists are master arborists as well, like Dr. Spence. That report recommended that action be taken to prevent the soil compaction that is affecting all the trees in the west side of the park. Soil compaction, and I'll make sure that everybody gets the 2019 report. It comes from foot traffic, and as well it comes from cars and heavy equipment being driven over and parking on the tree roots. And that, I don't know which pictures y'all got because I tried to send 3 emails worth, and I don't know how many went through. You did? Okay, because mine didn't show it was sent. But basically, Eagle Lion Park for events and non-events has just become a place where people park underneath the trees. They drive under the drip line. It's in the tree plan that the drip line should be protected. And Skip Miller and I have gone around and around. We do not agree on this. The master arborist, these are oak trees, he recommended the placing of the wood chips to aerate the soil. Not a fertilizer type additive. He did not recommend that. And the recommendation by Dr. Spence that the areas underneath the trees kind of be cordoned off, that would be a great opportunity, if Mr. Miller does not object, to actually put down wood chips and aerate the soil and keep people from parking on the tree roots. I think one of those pictures is of a van that was parked there for 3 days that must weigh a good 3 tons. That just should not happen under a heritage tree. And it's, it's not, the tree plan says protect the roots and the drip lines. So I'm just concerned. I think this is why Mr. Libby is mad at us, because he makes the recommendations and then they don't happen. And that one is not expensive and it's easy to do. It's very easy to tell people don't park and don't drive there. That doesn't cost anything. So that's my comment about tree number 4 and the rest of the trees in the west side of the park. And I would like for somebody to inquire of Dr. Spence, I don't know if he'll add this, why he didn't mention soil compaction. But it might, he's very erudite and I think his training is a little bit different. But anyway, would love to know. So tree number 4, 4 little tree roots. Thank you.
Okay, that issue of soil compaction and mulching, it has been brought out that because of so many big trees in the park, it would essentially mulch the whole park just about. And practically speaking, would be difficult to maintain, which I happen to know because I mulch things and that's where the grass wants to grow. So it seems to me that it boils down to a no parking law, and we don't have that. There's no signs, there's some say don't park beyond this point. But I think the city commission needs to address that and not us, is what I'm getting around to here. Just can't, what?
On your point,
You want
on your point, that was, we didn't have a conversation before this, but
Yeah.
if you can put a sign up in English and Spanish, say, parking available at the light. And if you park on the grass, it's a tow-away zone. And they'll stay off the grass.
Yeah.
They'll stay off of it. But you have to do that, as you go forward commission. So that's what I would recommend. On the compaction part, the calcium component of dolomitic lime, soil scientists will tell you what it does. It relieves compaction. Calcium relieves compaction. You ever looked at the side of an oak tree? It looks kind of a grayish. If you analyze it chemically, the major components in the protection of an oak tree is calcium. But mulch does not, I think it tends to promote, because you want oxygen to get down in the aerobic zone. And that's what calcium does in the dolomitic lime. And you don't have to till it into the soil, you just spread it, and the rain brings it right on down.
Yeah.
But I hope the commission maybe brings that up about just make it a towaway zone, and people realize that my vehicle's towed, I'm walking. And then hopefully park down here by the light.
Sorry.
Okay.
Well, we have a commissioner here and a potential commissioner here, so I would say that that's their business.
This brought a lot of, confrontation at the women's club when we met for the first time. I addressed, the powwow with all those vehicles parking, underneath for 3 days. To me, it was a beautiful event, but it was free lodging and free hotel for these people. I know that we're doing a good event for the town, but, if the whole town saw what they were doing, if they are doing it, why we cannot do it? And that's the thing that we have to put a guideline that nobody can do it. I don't know how's that gonna work with the women's club and the powwow, but it brought a lot of confrontation when I brought it up to the board that maybe they needed to park outside the park, not inside over the tree line, and they were very upset. They said that these vendors are not gonna leave their equipment there, even though they ride around there. I don't understand why they have to be right underneath. I don't know how to solve that one. I know it was a good event, it brought people to town, they make good money, but if we continue to allow it, other people are gonna feel if the powwow can do it, why not us? So.
Just for your parking lot. I remember in the old days of Catfish, people used to park on, was it your property down there, Skip? Across
Park
from
wherever
the
they could.
former Circle K.
The shuttle.
Yeah, they parked everywhere.
Yeah.
And most people park their
Vendors
walk.
who were staying for the weekend. But yeah, that's a real issue. But yeah,
You always have to maintain the handicap parking
yeah,
area in the park. But
Can I say
I think
something
that'd
about
be the
this
only
current-
exception.
yeah.
The current arborist report on page 9, he talks about below ground and the assumptions and living conditions. You'll see that there may be effects below ground, not visible from his perspective. Oh, sorry. I didn't want to. Just page 9 of this, report from the arborist, he does talk about basically ground compaction.
Okay,
And that's how I see it. So he didn't dismiss it.
right. Okay, tree board. We have recommended a second opinion. We recommend that the city discuss changing some parking regulations around the parks. I don't think it's a problem well, it was a problem at Colbert. I remember people pull up under some old oak trees that are on the city right of way and park to go into Colbert Park. Harry Banks has plenty of parking, I think, paved. We sure don't want to pave inside the lines, any more than there already is. So it's a difficult issue, and I recommend that city commission address it. But I think that's about all we can do about it, is recommend.
Also, his report talked about figure 7, figure 8, the exotic tree removal,
Oh, yeah,
and the camphor tree and the palm tree. We need to vote on that, or how does that work?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, anybody have anything to say about that?
We have talked about getting that out of there.
Yeah,
Me and
yeah,
Charles
they
talked
can't
about it the other
like babies and they can't trees.
Yeah, Keith knows how to get that out. What you do is, we get into our fall drought period with no rain. That palm trees up there, you just go up there and spread it as wide as you can and put just a little piece of field out in there. And it'll give up the ghost. In a couple of weeks, it'll die.
What about
In the afternoon,
Yeah, this is,
clip the camphor, it's right in the crotch of the tree, and it'll eventually split the tree.
Mhm.
But in the afternoon, when the sap's going down, cut that camphor tree
Oh, yeah.
and hit it with some herbicide. It'll take it right down the roots and it'll kill it.
Well,
You
kill the
gotta
oak
do
tree.
it hard.
The herbicide won't kill the oak tree.
No, you don't put that much. But in the afternoon, the sap's going down to the roots on all plants and trees. In the morning, when the sun rises, sap with the soluble nutrients and water's going up to the photosynthetic sites to make sure. But in the afternoon's the time to kill that camphor tree.
Yeah.
And they got a bucket, the city can do that, I'm sure. And I would wait till you get your fall drought period, which is right around the corner. And that palm tree's been growing there, I know, for
Yeah.
30 years. It stayed the same size, but eventually it can split the tree, which is not good.
Yeah, Keith, you can cut down small trees, right?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. So it doesn't have to be a big, arborist or a tree cutter to do it. Commission, what do you want to do about those trees? Do we have to ask for a motion, to cut down camphor tree and?
I don't think so, I think
No.
those are nuisance, they're gonna kill it.
Yeah, it's just pruning.
It's essentially.
Yeah, okay, let's take care of them, because truly, I know about camphor trees. I like them, but I don't like 8 million of them. Okay,
So do we have to motion on that?
no, it'll be part of this
It's just maintenance, that's it.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Now, I'm not looking down here. That's too bad. We never did approval of past minutes, do we need to do that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How did we get so out of order? That's because of me. And y'all
No, it actually wasn't on the agenda. For some reason I had a computer glitch when we lost power. So I had to print them out quick like, and I didn't even realize that it wasn't on there.
Okay, which minutes are we talking about?
June 15th.
June 15th. Have you all looked at them? Anybody have any questions or concerns? I reckon you don't, you're just not looking. Okay. If this is our agenda, we've still got the tree plan to discuss. I have not really studied the tree plan.
No, that was approved by the commission, so I just put it in there because you had, the tree board had asked me to put the measurements of the trees as an amendment to the tree plan. So this is the new tree plan with the amendment, and it's been approved by the commission. So
Okay,
now you have a copy of the new tree plan.
okay.
Should I make a motion for June,
Yes, ma'am.
minutes? So I make a motion for June 15th, minutes. To be approved.
Jim, you have to say.
Oh, one second, sorry, I was pretty late. I wasn't.
If you want to.
So I'll second that.
Thank you.
Okay.
All eyes?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now, we do have these three guests. If they have anything else they feel like they want to add, I see BJ
Sorry,
getting ready to
you shouldn't have asked.
roll up here and hit us with something else.
You shouldn't have asked. I could have been quiet.
You turn that mic down to you.
No, it's coming out, but just takes a second. There we go. So, I got this option added just for this. PJ Lori, 505 Magnolia Avenue. I was just, my question was about that appendix, your appendix here that has the tree measurements in it. I just wanted some specificity on what these measurements were. Because it's closest to the water, 11 feet, and then 10.5 feet, 11 feet. Is this the circumference at first?
Yeah, the trunk,
The DBH? Is that the circumference or the diameter?
the diameter around the tree.
That's circumference.
That's a conference.
Okay, that's what it is?
Mhm.
Okay. Because, usually you use a DBH, which is the diameter at breast height. You take 4.5 feet above the ground and you figure out what the diameter of it is, not the circumference. So you just might want to convert those numbers just to make it standard, because it's confusing, to me. But you can take the circumference and just use the formula and turn it into diameter. But your standard forestry measurement, everything I noticed from being in forestry and FFA for years, you use the DBH, the diameter at breast height, which is 4.5 feet above the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you just do the diameter though, so just the thickness through, because I mean, that's why I was confused, because I'm like 11 feet, I'm like, that's a really big tree. But, you want to turn it into inches usually and do the inches, and that way you can tell, because that way we can look at it and see if it's a heritage tree or not, really easily, because that's what the requirements are in the ordinance, so. I just, one little suggestion. Thanks.
Change to diameter.
But thank you guys for doing all that, because that was a lot of work, I know,
Yeah.
and it needed to be done.
Okay,
Yeah, my tree too.
well, I'm gonna worry until our next meeting about that tree number 3.
Lisa was gonna talk about grants.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Okay, Madam Chair, may I?
Yes.
She's the chair, Pat has to say yes. Okay, Pat, can you hear me?
Almost.
Okay, I took my mask off and
That's better.
I'm trying to talk right into the mic. Okay, just first public comment. One, I echo BJ Lori, thanking you for all the work that you've done to put together the tree plan and to do all those measurements in hot weather. That was a lot of work, and I know it took a lot of time. When the tree plan came to the commission, I thought it had a lot of really good elements. But just to mention for future, something I think would be really helpful would be for Mr. Harris and his department to report tree failures that are happening around town to the board. Because, for example, I brought to y'all what I know, but I think there have been trees in other parts of town that I have not seen. And to me, it would help if the tree board was aware of that, whether they're on public or private property. As well, the tree plan, and I didn't bring this up when we approved it because it had so many good elements, does not address tree replacement. And as we all know, we've been losing trees, just recently, we've lost trees because of storms. I sent y'all a list at one point, that might have been certainly before Gene came onto the board. But speaking of tree replacement, you said, you added to the agenda, I got some information last week, just as your agenda was coming out. In the fall, the Florida Department of Agriculture, puts out notice of availability of funding for grants. And, I sent this to the city clerk, I think yesterday, and I asked her to share it. I never understand Department of Agriculture grants. There is a new grant category. I don't know if this replaces the old grants, whether there's another notice of funding availability to come, but there is a new grant. The application period is opened up. The applications are due by November 17th. And there's 5 categories that 5 different categories that you can apply for. And I asked for some advice and clarification from Blake Josephson, that nice young man who's our county forester. There's one category that is called planting trees in disadvantaged communities. Crescent City qualifies because of our poverty rate. And the primary restrictions are the trees have to be, you can't buy trees that are any larger than 4-inch caliber. And at first that worried me, but I looked it up on the IFAS website. In an oak tree, this would be a tree that was about 20, possibly 20 feet tall.
Yeah.
Which is, that's a decent size. I mean, I wouldn't think it was worth it if we were just planting, a little seedling. But this is the item on the agenda, so here I go. The distribution of trees planted has to provide for community participation in planting and some other activities. I mean, that's good. It involves education and the community being involved. So since we've lost a lot of trees from storms and in general over the past 8 to 10 years, it seems like it would be a good choice. And the best part is there is no match for this particular grant. We do not have to, you have to meet the grant requirements, but no match. And then as to who would write the grant, at this point, I don't know. In the past, we've had community volunteers who eventually became the tree board. Davy Trees, who did our 2009 survey, they had a grant writer that I spoke to several years ago. At the moment, I cannot find her contact information, but I'm going to call her corporate office. But anyway, I sent this to our city clerk in an email, so y'all will have the information. And I believe the city manager can confirm, I think at the last commission meeting, is this not true, Charles, that the commission authorized the city to apply for tree grants? Did we not do that?
We did.
Yeah, and this one in particular is no match. So, so anyway, y'all will get the information. That's what I know about it. And, I don't know how much Mr. Josephson can help us. I know he will not write the grant, our county forester, that's for sure. And you have to have, you have to have a certain selection of trees. You can't have like all oak trees or all cypress, you have to choose a variety of trees. So, do y'all have any questions for me?
My concern is, if we don't get going with that, it might be too late. Already it's gonna be October. So how will we, since we're not having another meeting until the end of October?
The end of October.
Who knows a grant writer?
Well, maybe y'all could talk to the city manager about that. And I think I sent him the information. Maybe y'all could have a special meeting. I don't know how you want to handle it, but, it just seems to me like a good opportunity that we could plant some replacement trees, get the community involved, and we wouldn't have to pay for it. That's,
I volunteered Ms. DeVito to write the grant for us.
She said she's too busy.
and really, I'm out of practice, honestly. I would not know how to write a tree grant.
I asked Fred Fox. Fred Fox and Associates, they write grants for a piece of the grant, the administration, they don't have a fee, but they bill us for, I think, 10% of the grant total or something. I can see if this is one of the grants that he is familiar with and can apply for.
Yeah, I mean, that's gonna take a lot of statistical information about improving your poor community and all that.
That's-
Oh, no, we qualify.
We qualify.
We qualify, no, you don't have to get into that.
Yeah, that sounds, we saw some spots in Harry Banks Market, we thought a couple of trees would be really nice, because it's a vacant, hot, sunny park.
So do we need to make a motion to meet again and see what Charles can find about this?
Well, you can just make a motion for me to
Do it,
to go for it if he's
Yeah,
willing to.
okay.
make it list.
So I'm making a motion that, City Planner Charles, gets with, Fred Fox and Associates, and to see how we, start the steps towards, these grants for the town, since we qualify to get some trees.
I second.
Great.
All in
Those
favor?
in favor?
Aye.
Good job. Let's not go like. Okay.
We also have to have a discussion on, November date, November,
Falls on Thanksgiving.
falls on Thanksgiving.
So to have it earlier, the meeting?
Yep, and then if you still wanted to have the December one on the 28th, which is right around Christmas, but that's for y'all. You can do 2 meetings in one, and you can have one in early December, or you can have your one in December and have an early meeting in November,
Sounds good.
or late November.
No, early November.
Early in November, you got a calendar. Anybody
Give
want-
you 2 options.
Yeah, I gave you 2 options. You want to keep your meeting in November 1st, right? So you can do it on the 30th, but you guys, it doesn't matter, because you guys do it during the day, so.
Yes.
And we have no workshops scheduled yet, correct, Charles? For November?
Correct.
Okay, so you can do it November 30th, which is a week after Thanksgiving,
Okay,
at 2:00.
2:00.
And then how about December?
And then December is the 28th, which is between New Year's and Christmas, and I wasn't sure, I remember you guys doing it differently last year, you did it earlier. Last year on December, because some of you weren't gonna be here because it was about the Christmas week.
Sounds good. We're having it earlier in December, the
I
meeting.
was trying to look at my calendar.
21 is
The week before.
earlier.
Yes, the 21st is the week earlier.
Still, Mike Ross and my trips, I don't know, y'all going anywhere?
No, not me, please check it.
Okay, 21.
So we're talking about it.
21st.
December 21st.
On the 21st, I have FPHS.
November the
meeting for
30th.
The FPHS meeting is at 4:00.
We have ours at 2.
I'm just letting them know, just both, there's 2
Okay.
members here.
Okay. No, there's something I would like to discuss. Because Pat Lane missed 3 or 4 meetings in a row, and we knew she was sick, but she didn't call and tell us, I'm not, I'm better, I'm coming this month or whatever. And she came today, and Karen told her that when you miss 3 meetings in a row, you are automatically off the commission. And, that if she wants to be reinstated, she has to go through the process again by applying to the commission, which she can't do this month because it's today and to be next month. She was very upset. I tried to tell her, would you please stay and, participate as an audience member, but she didn't want to. She was really quite angry. We do need, obviously, another member, and Cindy, I don't know what happened to her today, but anyway, what is the thinking of the group about Pat Blanket? Do we just hang tight and hope she'll get over it and apply again, or what? Open it up, you have to announce that.
I mentioned to her a long time ago 2 months ago that, she asked me, am I still part of the board? And I told her the truth, no. And she knew about it, I don't understand why she had to give a show today. She already known.
You'd think she did, I've called her and told her
Too, so do we want angry people on the board?
Well, she kind of extended it to the whole city, that's the way you people are, whatever. So I guess we can let her reply and, talk to our commissioners and tell them how we feel about that. But and I don't want to hurt her feelings, I'm sorry that she felt so.
Question,
Warm, promise you, she.
how many years did she serve on this board?
About 3 or 4, maybe 4.
I would think that would be a consideration.
Yeah, well, we're all up for renewal at some point.
You are Ms. Pat in December.
Mm-hmm,
You're up for renewal in December.
yeah. Okay. I think maybe get
Elizabeth,
somebody
Elizabeth
here.
still has 2 more years left.
I think she's a life member, isn't she?
Yes.
Yeah,
You are
Yeah, but don't have to volunteer to be a life member. Yeah. Well, I love being on the commission, but I really do have such a hearing problem, but it's,
Well, if she applies, it'll go on the agenda, we have advertised that position ongoingly, and then it'll be up for consideration, commission, you can talk about it, you can let your wishes be known individually to your commissioners, and then,
yeah.
they'll talk about it.
Yeah. Okay, it's a shame, I really feel bad about it, but it is what it is. Okay. Don't have anything else to? Nope. I love the idea of the grant, and planting some trees, because that's very positive.
And we also have to think about, Arbor Day too, in January, so we have 2 months to start planning that.
Yeah, it's getting good time. I've mentioned it to Lois Carter. And I'm not a real active member there anymore, but I know somebody who is.
I will mention, we are reapplying for Tree City USA, so, there's a problem with their website, but we're partway through that process.
Okay. We need new signs, on the south end of town, or that's north, north end of town where they blew down.
Well, our Tree City sign's still there, there's 18 years on it.
Okay.
They'll send us a new sticker that says 19 years,
Oh, good, okay.
just stick right over that.
And we would like to make it kind of festive this, January for Arbor Day, maybe have more activities. Don't just leave it for 1 day, maybe have more events during the month.
You do it. You're the chairman. I'm gonna call this meeting to the end here before Liz has any more ideas. Okay, thank you all. Thank you, public, for coming, putting up with my lack of Robert's rules.